Hi, I'm Charlie Thorburn. Welcome to Mordor Gundogs. Sitting next to me today is Ash, who is head trainer here at Mordor Gundogs. We're going to have a conversation with each other. I suppose it's a little bit more like a podcast kind of format. We're going to have a conversation with each other about some of the comments that have come up from you guys on our YouTube. Now, most of the comments, thank you so much. It's so nice to hear that what we're doing is appreciated, and what we're doing people are enjoying, and we've had so many people say some really, really lovely things. And I hope it's all making a difference to you and your dogs. I actually had a phone call with someone just an hour ago who was telling me all about how much progress he's made. So, keep up the good work, keep watching, and we'll keep giving you information. So most of the comments have been really positive, but there have also been some that not so positive necessarily. Not negative, just people with different opinions to us, and that's great. We love that. I'm very much of the view that when someone comes here to work here or who's an experienced trainer or whatever, if they've got some ideas that aren't things that we use, if they can show me why they're good and explain to me why they all make sense, we are, I'm really happy to adapt. You never stop learning with dogs. You never stop learning from the dogs, and you never stop learning from the people. Whether that's good things or bad things, you're always learning something. I just want to add that my 9-year-old son, who's promoted himself to film director of our channel, has insisted that I sit this cup facing you like that. This is not a personal statement. This is more to keep my children happy. So yeah, most of the comments have come about really about the electric collars. Now, Ash is actually much more up to date with this stuff than me, because you watch YouTube.
Pretty much everyone out there.
Ash watches everybody. I don't. I'm terrible. The only YouTube videos of people training dogs I watch are the ones that Ash tells me, you tell me to watch. So you're probably much more geared up to answering some of the questions. So I'm going to go through. I'm not going to name who these people are, but they know who they are. There's been a couple of comments basically saying that, give or take, we don't know what we're talking about as far as electric collars go. Would you say that's a pretty fair statement? So they're basically saying we don't know. We should get in contact with some good American trainers and be shown how it all works and stuff. Now, I never said that electric collars should be banned. Okay, I think they are being banned in England as of next February, I think. What I said, for those of you who maybe have commented without watching my entire video, which we feel some of the comments have definitely not followed through. What I said was that it's the person who uses the collar needs to know what they're doing, and in our opinion, generally, and I would say the wider opinion of people in the UK, electric collars, the people who don't know how to use them shouldn't be able to use them. So there's been a couple of names chucked out there, and I'm going to let Ash answer the details of the name. So one of the people I was told I need to talk to, and I'm really happy. We're really happy to get some of these guys on our channel, or we're starting a podcast soon, hopefully, so we're able to get them on. But one of the people is Jamie Penrith. So Ash, who is Jamie Penrith?
So he does a lot of predatory chase stuff.
He's English. He's in the UK.
Yeah, he's in the UK.
So he's a dog trainer. Is he a gun dog trainer or just a regular dog trainer?
I would say he probably has knowledge in everything. He's got a pretty extensive channel. Obviously, what he has is a business, so you need to go to him with the chase problems. He shows you like before and afters. There's a lot of they're pretty in-depth discussions about the collars in general. But he's worked with dogs that have killed.
And he's using the collars.
Yeah.
And so work with dogs that killed. Bear in mind, I did a video on the XL bully. You mean killed sheep or deer or rather than human killers, which obviously we wouldn't try and fix with an electric collar. We would just put them down. But so what's his, from your, obviously you are not him, but you watch his videos. What's his he's using these collars himself on other people's dogs. To fix the problem. Which is kind of what I said in my video, which was, if I've got a dog that kills sheep or chases deer and is so bad, it's done it for so long, then there is a time and a place for a collar in the right person's hands. And that's probably, and you watching this Jamie Penrith, Jamie Penrith, I don't know you if you happen to watch this I'm flattered, but maybe we can have a conversation sometime.
Yeah. So he's also been on like ITV where when they're talking about the debates. But,
Oh, he was the guy on like Breakfast News.
Yeah.
Basically saying don't ban electric collars because you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, and then
because I save dogs' lives.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
exactly the guy.
And you probably got a load of inverted commas kind of greeny huggers or whatever who I'm probably going to lynch by who just go, oh no, the poor dogs, and it's like, yeah, but the dog's going to be shot by a farmer, or it's going to be put down because the owner can't handle it. And this
poor sheep.
What about the poor sheep? Yeah. And this guy is basically helping those owners keep their dogs themselves and keep them alive.
Definitely.
But he is not. He's what I call corrective training.
Yep.
So which is very different. I mean, we do a bit of corrective training. People come for lessons here. We'll talk about your lesson in a minute that you had recently. But people come here for corrective training. But we don't really like doing corrective training. We're really trying to prevent problems. So therefore, the use of the collar as prevention is not really relevant, is it? Unless you've made a balls up.
I made a lot of balls ups. I would have thought for some of our guys.
I mean, they'd be pretty upset. Most would be pretty upset. So tell me about, that Jamie Penrith is very much kind of corrective training. He's helping people save their dogs' lives. He's not necessarily advocating, everyone should buy an e-collar when they buy a puppy.
No.
And he's not handing out e-collars to everybody.
No. And that's one thing he touches on a lot in his videos as well, is that don't buy cheap, poor quality kit. He was like, only buy the top of the range, so it's as good as it can possibly be.
Yeah, because I guess they're sort of prone to short-circuiting water, anything.
Cheap stuff made, that's going to go wrong is definitely not what you want for that. You don't want something that's going to work, or goes out of distance and your dog's already chasing, and then you've lost your radius.
Because I guess the again being relatively inexperienced with the actual ins and outs of collars. I mean, presumably, I mean, one of the things that was on some of these comments was, you should that I need to meet up with some good trainers in America and they'll change my mind. And I suppose, I mean, the funny thing is I don't really want my mind changed. I'm quite happy with my mind, but I'm also quite happy to be shown different theories and different ideas so that I can broaden my knowledge. And I guess that's I know that you're exactly the same. Yeah. And I've seen guys with collars and they've obviously got they're working pointers and they've got little antennas, so presumably their range is further. Whereas something you get from the sort of local pet shop that costs you kind of $20 is going to be the time the battery lasts and how far out it works isn't going to work. So your dog gets out of range because chasing a deer, and you've lost that control, I guess.
Yeah.
So Ash, what about this word that is used, conditioning? What do you know about conditioning in terms of electric collars? Like, what's your what have you learned from the internet? And I just want to let everyone know that this has not been pre-planned. I literally said to Ash about an hour ago, right after we let the dogs out for a run, let's go and have a conversation about this. So this is not, you must say what I've said.
Yeah.
Obviously,
actually, I don't know. The conditioning is
it's a word that
we don't need to use them.
No, but it's a word that you see.
Yeah.
In a lot of videos. Like, it's collar. No, I mean, we've had it on some of our comments, like conditioning.
So the way I understand it is that the dog has its kind of optimal sensation, and you just or the dog will be wearing the collar or a dummy collar for up to a certain amount of time, so that they're used to wearing the collar if they don't normally wear a collar. And then so first of all, conditioning the dog to that, because it'd be weird if they got out the car
having never worn a collar.
Having never worn a collar, there goes the collar.
I know I have to behave.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, and dogs are smart like that. They would. I mean, our dogs do. They know we're wearing our shooting clothes. They know when we walk out, we're doing certain things. They also know when we walk into an arena to do a Gundog demonstration, and they're like, we're somewhere different, and we start messing around. They're smart, so they do get these things. And so I guess, from the point of view of the way that we might use a collar for corrective training. So dog chases sheep, it kills sheep. Dogs going to be destroyed, owners are distraught, it's all pretty stressful. You put the dummy collar on them for a while so it doesn't feel any different, so that when you put the shock collar on them, you're doing the correction as the dog is in mid chase. And the dog doesn't necessarily associate with the collar, with the view that you can take the electric collar off further down the line once the trade is complete. But I mean, what's interesting with all of this is this conditioning is every single dog you see working in America has a collar on all the time.
Yeah.
So they're not conditioning them; they're just putting them on them and then they're keeping them like a remote control, which is part of my thing.
Yeah. What point does it come away?
What point does it? It's like people use when they're using. It's like clicker training. People use a clicker. So they teach the click is the biscuit, yeah? And then they never get rid of the clicker and they never get rid of the biscuits. You're like, we're just adding in extra confusion for the poor bloody dog. It's like, it's got a click and it's got a command, it's got a biscuit. And you're like, if you're going to remove the biscuits and just use the click, then fair enough, you haven't got a pocket full of biscuits. But I don't think people, maybe they're not explained that by, maybe the clicker trainer experts do. That's exactly what they do. But the kind of the people learning off their videos or their lessons don't tend to follow that through, do they?
And also, so what I have seen from some of the conditioning for the collar is starting on a very low stim and then gradually working up to where the dog's getting maybe a blink reaction, just something like that, and then they're starting off that kind of conditioning with as low level stim as possible. For various things.
So stim, you're talking about stimulation. So a zap, an electric shock. Because one of the videos said, one of the comments on our video said something about, it's not an electric shock. Well, they're called electric collars, and I put them on my hand, I put them on my neck. I mean, I've done it, so I knew what I was, I know what it feels like. I can assure anyone who's watching that it's not just a vibrate, it's an electric shock, which is, maybe there's different collars and they do a different thing. But I mean, if you've got a dog that's a serial chaser or killer of sheep, vibrating its neck might distract it briefly, but it's soon going to get used to that. It's not going to make any difference, is it?
Yeah.
So one of my things with the conditioning thing, one of my, this word that we don't really know what it means, but this kind of them getting used to the collar and them getting used to the shock and the owners finding the level that the dog reacts at and stuff, is I have never been in a fight in my life. Okay. So it's just not something I've ever done. But Ash used to be a sort of fairly serious amateur boxer. So you spent a lot of time punching punch bags, right?
Yep.
The more you punch punch bags, the tougher you get, right? Your muscles and your bones down your arm, they all get tougher.
Yep.
Right? Now, if you haven't boxed for a number of years, is that right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So if you went back and started punching a bag in the same way you did back then, you'd hurt yourself.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it all the time, you get used to it. And I remember a teacher of mine at school was a sort of black belt karate kind of guy, and he used to punch the walls just to sort of build up the calves on his knuckles, I guess. I don't know. So that he was, people do, was he a bit odd? Is that kind of normal kind of?
I mean, you see all sorts.
You see all sorts. Yeah. But what I'm getting at is that you're conditioning your hands and your arms to regularly take a beating, and you're conditioning your body and your head to regularly take a beating. I mean, if someone punched me in the face, I'd be like, oh God, that's, I'm 16 stone, 6'3". I'm a pretty big guy, but I'm not used to being hit. But the more I get hit, the more used to it I would be. Mm-hmm. So therefore, with this kind of conditioning to the collar, you're actually like toughening the dog up to the reaction, and you're putting them through more of it to condition. This is the bit I don't get.
Okay.
Do you know anything?
Yeah, no.
Does any of this like?
It would, so I and this is just me, I would see it as like separate things, because the killers and the chasers, I can imagine once they're through the roof and, that low level stim's not going to work anyway.
No.
So they're going to be dialing up and, turning it up, sure. And then the other thing that...
Hit them hard, hit them once, it's done.
And then hopefully,
Yeah. Which, if I'm honest, if I was going to use a collar, I wouldn't be... To stop a dog killing sheep or something, I wouldn't be fanning around with, what reaction? I'd be like, get it up there to make sure they understand that if they ever look a sheep again, this is what's going to come.
Yeah.
And let's try and really get it hidden there that's something really horrible.
Yep.
And that's all about the timing and the...
And
the timing and the skill of knowing when to do it, and you can't trying to. And this is the bit that I want to get across, is trying to get people to understand that the timing that you and I have of stopping a dog about to chase a pheasant, or stopping a dog as it's about to jump up, or stopping a dog as it's about to jump out the car. We're ahead of them.
Yep.
We're 10 steps ahead of them often. So we see someone else's dog sitting 20 feet away, and Ash and I look at each other and we'll go, that dog's about to run in. Yep. And boom, it runs in, and the owner's standing there with their head in the clouds going, oh, look, they've never done that before.
And that, I suppose you could take that back to the conditioning there, is that the more experienced the handler, the lower the stim would be required, because as soon as they're kind of looking like they're going to go for it, you'd have a less stim. Whereas if they've already missed it, they're off.
And this is
It's
where
going to require higher
and
stim.
this is where
it's a grey area, isn't it?
and this is also where the sort of the skill kind of comes in.
Yeah.
So then there's people like properly conditioned dogs. Tugging on the lead is less of a thing than the shock collar stuff, and we don't want to tug dogs on the lead. I mean, that's again like where all of this is like a means to an end.
Yeah.
Like we give them a few corrections, we teach them how to do it, and if you watch my healing video, we start at the end. We start with Chili, who walks with a completely loose lead. On the lead, off the lead, she walks at my heel. She never gets a tug on the lead. I mean, when did any of us last tug Chili on the lead? When did Chili last go on the lead? Apart from that video, she doesn't. So the whole point with what we're trying to put across is there's an end in sight. But I feel with the sort of the use of these collars is it's like you and me wearing a whistle. It's there every day, and it's literally like you and I wouldn't go out training, or we would go home. We wouldn't go to a competition, we wouldn't go training, and we wouldn't go out on a shoot or anything else if we didn't have our whistle with us. We'd go home and get it.
Yeah.
And I feel like the collar thing is on, is on the same. They open the back of the truck, they put the collars on for fully trained dogs. And you're like, well, they're not fully trained if you're still having to remote control them with a collar. And that's the bit that that's the bit I'd love, to talk to someone about. Because I feel like Jamie Penrith is probably not the person, because I feel like he's fixing problems, but maybe I'm, go and see, I go and speak to some trainers in America, and just from that point of view, I mean, one of the things, and Ash knows this, but from everyone watching point of view, we train a lot of dogs here. Okay, we train more dogs, I would say, than anyone else in the UK. We probably therefore train more dogs than most training kennels in the whole world. We're up there. We're one of the biggest setups, I think. I mean, it's not like we're novices. And so someone saying, oh, you need to go to, you need to get experience from someone saying, oh, I've trained dogs from the UK and stuff. It's like, I'm going to sound arrogant, but we get lots of people coming here. What do they say? They're like, oh, I've had dogs all my life.
32 years.
Yeah, 32 years I've had dogs. So like, what, so you've had 3? Whereas we're training hundreds at a time. So I feel pulling us up on a kind of, oh, well, you don't have the experience. We've trained more dogs here than, certainly more Labradors here than most other people anywhere. So have I trained many dogs from the US? No, because I like doing this job, and I like training dogs that are very much kind of what I like to do, which are the soft, gentle-natured dogs, and encouraging them on, and not training dogs that are raring to go all the time.
And to add to that, have I trained protection dogs? No. Have I trained?
No, but we don't claim to
chase and kill. No,
we don't claim to. We're not. We're trying. We said earlier on. We're trying. We don't really want to do corrective training. That's not really. We don't wake up in the morning going, oh, what dogs am I going to fix now? We'd wake up in the morning going, oh, I'm going to take out that lovely 5-month-old puppy that's just doing a lovely delivery, and they're trotting along next to me at heel, and we're bringing them up in a nice gradual way, and they're doing everything right. We get really upset here if we have to get after a dog. And when I say get after a dog, I mean, I did it just now in a lesson with someone. I had to chase after their dog because it flushed a pheasant and it started to run after it. So I ran after the dog. I went, stop the dog. Dog looked to me. I brought the dog back, sat them down where I told them to sit. And I had to do that 4 times. I got bloody wet. Probably burned off some calories, I guess. That's pretty a bit of a bonus. But like, that's not, I don't look at that and go, that's a great day out for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming you don't either.
No.
I mean, you don't.
I'm pretty quick, but I'd rather be.
You'd rather not do it.
Yeah.
It's part of the job. It's part of what we do. But you'd rather not do it.
Yeah.
You'd rather go out with Biscuit, who's a sweet little red Labrador who we've never had to chase, rather than Muckle, who was a beautiful but headstrong Chesapeake Bay Retriever that you trained earlier this year.
Yeah.
Going out with Muckle, I could see it in your face. It wasn't the best part of your day, was it? It was stressful.
It wasn't relaxing, yeah.
It was stressful. It wasn't an enjoyable thing, and we're big on training dogs for enjoyment kind of thing, rather than just because they.
And actually, just what you were saying there is like a good point where, like your lesson, chased a bird. If someone wants to use a collar, then it's like, what do they want after the collar? So for us, we would want the dog to sit.
Yeah.
How would the dog understand what yes, maybe that will mean sit with a low stim or blah blah blah, but actually they're chasing something at that moment. They get stimulation, and then what is it? How do we say this is what we do want? Which is we want them to sit.
Yeah,
but obviously something after has just had a little bit of stimulation. It's not going to go, I
was going to sit.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll just get my notebook out. What was I going to do? Oh, yeah, if I get a low stim, I meant to sit.
Yeah.
So I guess, the killer chaser type deal.
Yeah.
Don't ever do that again.
Yeah.
That was a nasty experience.
Yeah.
Don't ever do it again.
Yeah.
But I don't want my Cocker Spaniels to think flushing a pheasant is a nasty thing. I want them to enjoy it. I want them to do that. So that's the skill of the trainer.
And that's where we're so different and detached from all that kind of predatory chase behaviour, protection dog. This is what we are aiming for something. Everything's always progressing on. We're building on to stuff, and we do want them to hunt game. We want them to stop on game.
Whereas you put too much pressure on them, then they're going to stop hunting.
They're going to stop hunting.
And then you go back to what we talked about in the video. I talked about in the video, which was you create headstrong dogs, because the only ones that make the grade are the ones that can cope with the pressure.
Yeah.
And I would say, of all the springers and cockers we've got at the moment, I can think of one that could cope with that pressure.
Yeah,
maybe.
I know mine would. Yours would sap the life out of them.
But do you know who I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
Liver and White.
Yeah.
She's the only one that I could think that might be able to cope with it, and I'm not even sure she could.
Yeah.
Because and I feel like the big concern is that people use these because they're wanting a quick fix.
Yeah.
And this is the battle we have, isn't it? Is trying to make people understand that training dogs is not a quick fix.
Yeah.
You can't go to your 6 week, your 6 week course, a lesson a week, and expect to have a dog as good as what we're trying to produce. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and then I suppose the other thing is that you train the dog for what you do want it to do before, and then you add the collar afterwards. So then it's like,
but if you train it properly,
take the dog back to the spot and put it back where it went wrong and start all over again. I mean, what do you think? Better, like.
Well, I just don't know how I do it. But again, maybe I need to go and hang out with a I mean, because what I feel like we're getting back to is we're using it for corrective training. So we're allowing the dogs to hunt. We're training them how to do it, and then when they don't do what they're meant to do, we're correcting them with a collar. But that's what I've been pulled up for saying. It's not corrective training. That's not what it's all about. So again, this is where we haven't learned this. Well, you haven't learned this from any of the videos you've watched as to what the exact methodology is behind this system. So this is like to the point of some of the people that message. I'm gonna have to call up one of these guys and get them to explain to me and have a discussion. And the difference I guess is that's going to happen is if someone comes to me for a lesson, or someone comes here for a lesson, what we say generally is not questioned. People don't really question what we tell them to do. They go, "Oh, right."
Yeah.
And the reason they do that is because we've got a whole heap of well-behaved dogs. So it's a proven method because we've done it before and we're going to do it again. And so if you go to an equivalent trainer in the US, say, who uses a shock collar, and he just says, "Right, this is how you do, this is how you do it," then they're maybe not getting questioned. They're going, "Oh no, he's great. He does a great job." But actually, has anyone questioned him? Has anyone like me sat down and said, "But why do you do that? That doesn't make any sense." So it could be quite an interesting conversation.
Yeah, and I think the whole like from what I see, obviously everyone's different. It's a big place, but they start things different. They do things different. The whole condition.
Well, they jazz them up. They razz them up. It's completely different. And the methodology out there is take a wounded bird and let a puppy chase it.
Yeah.
Get them going, get them wound up, and then rein them back in.
Yeah.
Whereas we're in the UK across the board in the field that we work in, from the sort of top end field trials down to sort of just amateurs training their dog for a bit of obedience and a bit of fun. It's very much about go through the motions and train and build up to that point of they're ready to go out on a day because they've learned all the theory. So I guess from my point of view is it's like we learn to drive a car and then we take a test and then we're allowed to drive a car, rather than let's crash loads, razz around a field and then try and learn how to do it properly.
Yeah.
Freddie is sitting here with his eyes, I'll do the crashing. One of the comments was that the tests in the hunt tests or the field trials in the US, I'm not sure which one it is, I think it's field trials in the US, they're much harder, they're much longer retrieves. And basically the gentleman said that, I think it was a gentleman said that you couldn't really compete with the dogs that were winning unless you were training with a collar. That was kind of pretty much what he said. So he was basically saying that the competitions in the US are harder than the UK. Is there anything you've watched or anyone you've listened to that would make that?
No.
And they're kind of different, aren't they?
Yeah.
We run ours on a shoot day, like or out hunting, as you would say in the States. Whereas the ones in the States, how do they do them?
So they're just kind of set up almost like it would be like a test in the UK. So everybody runs the same retrieve.
So what's the test in the UK versus the field trial? Just explain.
So test in the UK is on dummies.
So canvas dummies rather than live game.
Yeah, canvas dummies rather than live game, and everybody runs the same test from the same spot. They get the same retrieve.
So there's like 4 stands or 5 stands, and you just go your way around. You get marked on each course, each part of the course, and then you add up the totals at the end. And if you've done really well on 5, it's like a golf.
Yeah, this is this hole. That's the target. On to the next test.
Fine, and everyone has to play the same hole
through the test. Yeah,
sure. And so an American field trial is run more like that, but with live game or with cold game?
With cold game.
With cold game. So it really is more like our tests.
Yeah. I would. Yeah.
It's not really anything like our field trials.
Yeah. No.
So I mean, the equivalent would be in terms of like, I don't know, you and I racing a car. It's you and I going around a track, racing each other, which is more like a test because we're on the same course doing the same thing, versus you and I racing from here to London, not knowing what we're going to come across on the way. And you might get stuck in traffic on the motorway, and I might get a clear run down the side roads, or I might take on the side roads and you get a clear run down the motorway. And it's kind of, it's a bit of luck really, whether you get a good retrieve or a hard retrieve, an easy one, whether the wind's in your favour. So it's a much more, the field trials in the UK are a much more realistic shooting situation like we train our dogs for.
Yeah. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. So yes, I mean, to say that, you can't push a dog to a distance without using a collar, I mean, basically that's absolute bollocks.
Yeah.
I mean, my best dog I've ever had was called Rum. He's the grandfather, you didn't know him sadly, but he's the great whatever of all of our Labradors. And his best retrieve, defining moment, I could take you there right now. I can exactly picture where it is, because every single one of my best dogs has had a retrieve on a shoot, on a hunt somewhere, and I could take you to that spot. And Rum's was on a grouse moor south of Edinburgh in the Lammermuirs. And I waited till the end of the drive and I sent him down this valley up the other side because I'd seen a bird pitch in way, way, way off in the distance. My eyes were probably better then because I was in my mid-20s. And they got down to the bottom of the hill, and the guy who owned the estate had his map out, predates Google Maps, shows how old I am. He had his Ordnance Survey map out on the front of the Land Rover, and they were measuring how far it was. And they reckoned it was a mile. They reckoned I was stopping that dog at a mile. And I can tell you, if I'd put an electric collar on that dog, he'd have melted into nothing and never come out of his kennel again. So, and I mean, you've got Super Sam, who some of you might have seen on our demonstrations. I mean, I've seen Sam stopping at 200 yards plus, no bother.
Goes out like 400 yards is like...
He do. I mean, we got the field down there. It's like 350, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he'll run that field from one end to the other. No, not even
whichever way you put it.
The only thing that slows him down is your whistle. I mean, the fence at the end sort of slows him down a bit, but really just your whistle. So I think to flip it round, people who've said, you need.
He obviously never wore a collar.
Sam's never wore a collar. No, he's just been trained by you. But to flip it round, so people who said to me, you need to hang out with an American trainer, and because you don't understand. I'll be like, maybe they don't understand. Maybe they need to hang out with us.
But what?
So from that, I want to come on to someone who you told me about.
Yeah.
Who's a trainer in the US.
Yeah.
Used to use, collars and collar conditioning and all that stuff, and now he doesn't.
Yeah, I believe he's gone back the other way. The video I saw.
So do you remember his name? Jeremy.
Crisco.
Jeremy Cisco or Crisco?
Crisco,
yeah.
If that's wrongly pronounced. Sorry. Apologies.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
tell me what you know about him.
So he's got a nice series of videos which sort of pretty much runs exactly alongside what we do. and he's just in the States. Nice videos, well produced videos. He's got sort of like dogs running straight lines, drills for straight lines.
But this is a field trial, American field trial trainer, or is he a Gundog trainer in America, or what's he?
Yeah, I'd say everything competition.
He runs the competitions.
And he's been on some sort of podcasts and other YouTube videos, and I believe he was coming over to the UK to compete
In some of our trials.
Yeah, in trials over here. I don't know how that happened with COVID, because it would have been looking at the timeline of the videos. Would have been coincided with that. So
he certainly didn't win anyway.
But yeah, so
sorry guys. But he used to train what we would call traditional American style, conditioning to an electric collar, etc.
As far as I'm aware, from what it sounds like in that.
And then he's hung out with some people from the UK, and we've converted him. Not me, but
it seems
our trainers in the UK have converted him to our.
That's how it seems. Yeah.
Our methods. Yeah. So that's kind of.
And his channel is very, very similar to a lot of sort of traditional sort of Gundog places. Yeah. Getting the dogs all drills.
Encouraging, positive. So I guess, just to sort of summarize on that, we're talking about the race. We're going around a track. So Formula One racing, they go around a track. They're going around a different track around the world, but the format is basically the same. So what someone said was, you can't win without the help of a collar. So that's basically like saying you can't win the Formula One, or you can't win a rally. Rally driving, it's a bit more sort of, a bit more like general people can get involved, whereas Formula One obviously is a bit elitist because of the costs and things. So say rally driving, you can't. What basically someone's saying is that you can't win the rally unless you use nitrous oxide, and therefore everyone uses nitrous oxide, and the few that don't win. Or you can't win a race without doping. So they're saying to say you need to have the collar to win the competition or to be up there, kind of means that the way the competitions are being run and managed is being pushed to the level of, you're having to force the dogs to do it rather than doing it because of their own abilities.
Yeah.
Which is what I get. Again, I'm sure this will be, someone will say this is the...
And also I can imagine that the use of the collar, whether you want to call it corrective or whatever, obviously will be different, because these dogs aren't going to be chasing after stuff anyway, because they know what their job is. So it'll be for holding a straight line, that sort of thing. So it's completely different, really, use of the collar entirely.
But it still goes back to my original comment, which was people using them like remote control.
Yeah.
Like, dog's not doing what I want, press the button to stop it.
Yeah.
Rather than actually, take a step back. And this is what I would encourage maybe some of the people who are saying some of these things to me. Take a step back and go, what are you trying to do? Because what we're trying to do is create really nice shooting dogs who in the evening will lie in front of the fire with my kids. And if I have to use any form of like nasty methods to create that, then I'm doing something wrong. And therefore we need to change our strategy rather than try and keep up with everybody else by using things that we don't want to use.
Yeah.
So maybe the whole sort of format of a lot of these things is slightly skewed.
Yeah.
And I would say maybe in this country we're kind of the same. Always the benchmark for a good Gundog in the UK is a field trial champion. And I would say these days it's not the benchmark anymore. But I think that's probably one for another conversation.
Yeah.
Certainly a lot of people that I speak to wouldn't want to go anywhere near a field trial dog because they're different to a working dog. So one of the things I suppose I want to revert back to, which is how this all started, was me basically quoting Keith Erlandson saying, it was Keith Erlandson, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Saying, in theory, in principle, an electric collar is a useful training tool, but those who know how to train dogs shouldn't really need to use one, and those who don't know how to train dogs shouldn't be allowed to use one. And so after all the things we've sort of talked about, and the people you've seen on YouTube, and there's still a sort of a situation where, for those of you who maybe commented and didn't maybe watch all the video, I'm not saying ban them. If it's to save a dog's life, if it's to prevent sheep being killed, etc., then I think a collar has a place used by the right person, which is where your man Jamie Penrith potentially comes in. and good luck to him and in the work he does. It's not something that we would probably want to do necessarily. Although there's been a few dogs recently who might end up that way. We've had a few dogs for lessons who've been just wrong dog, wrong owner situations. But it goes back to those people specifically with their wrong dog, because they can't control it, should not be given the free rein of an electric collar, because they'll just go potentially buzz, 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 or they'll just turn the volume down and they won't use it correct rightly, and they'll be getting the dog used to just the vibrate, and it won't make any difference, and the whole thing will be a waste of time. Okay?
Yeah.
I think that's it. Remember, you get out what you put in. Like and subscribe. I hope you've enjoyed the video. And please comment, and we will continue to discuss your comments. Thank you.